The day I died, my best friend screamed that my life had been too lucky. We were on the roof of a 32-story office tower in Midtown. The wind was sharp enough to cut through my blouse. Below us, the traffic lights blurred into red and white threads, and the city kept moving as if my whole world had not already been torn apart. Vanessa Cole had both arms locked around my waist. "Why did one choice change everything?" she sobbed into my shoulder. "Why did you get the job, the mansion, the car, the man, the title? Why did you get to stand above me?" I wanted to laugh, but there was no air left in my lungs. She thought I had stolen heaven from her. She did not know I had been living inside a locked room with velvet curtains. In my previous life, Vanessa had gone with me to an interview at North Star Strategies, one of the most competitive marketing firms in New York. Outside the building, under a brutal July sun, a young man fainted on the sidewalk. Vanessa had complained that it was too hot and told me not to meddle. I called 911, ran to buy water, and stayed with him until the ambulance came. By the time I reached the interview lobby, breathless and soaked in sweat, Vanessa was gone. She had walked in under my name. "I just wanted to buy you time," she told me later, blinking with practiced innocence. "They called your name so fast. The benefits were amazing. I thought it would be a waste if neither of us got it." I was hurt, but I swallowed it. She was my oldest friend. I told myself that if anyone had to take the job from me, at least it was someone I loved. Then the man I saved woke up. His name was Adrian Sterling, the heir of a powerful family. He found me, thanked me, bought me things I never asked for, and announced to half the city that I was the woman who had saved his life. He pulled strings and placed me inside North Star as a senior project lead, which made Vanessa my subordinate. That was the moment her gratitude curdled into hatred. She saw the car. She saw the apartment. She saw the flowers, the cameras, the praise. She did not see the bruises hidden under silk sleeves. She did not see Adrian checking my phone, choosing my clothes, timing my showers, and smiling as he asked why a woman he loved would need privacy. The night I planned to tell Vanessa I could not survive him anymore, she pushed me first. The rooftop tilted. The wind swallowed my scream. Then I opened my eyes. The same summer sun hammered the same sidewalk. The same glass tower flashed above me. The same young man lay collapsed near the curb, his expensive watch gleaming against his wrist. Vanessa gasped beside me. "Oh my God, someone fainted." Before I could even move, she rushed over with her umbrella bouncing behind her. She knelt beside the man, pulled a water bottle from her bag, and poured a little into the cap with a tenderness she had not shown in our last life. Then she looked up at me with bright, false concern. "Emma, go to your interview. The ambulance might take a while, and this job is too important. I can handle him." So Vanessa had been reborn too. She thought she had found the road to my supposed paradise. I looked at Adrian Sterling's pale face on the sidewalk. I remembered his fingers tightening around my wrist. I remembered the basement under his family house. I remembered the photographs, the locked door, the way he cried after hurting me and called it love. Then I smiled. "Sure," I said. "Thanks." And I walked away. North Star Strategies kept its interview candidates in a waiting room that smelled like iced coffee, printer toner, and panic. There were at least 40 of us. Everyone had a portfolio on their lap and a rehearsed smile on their face. The job was for an associate product strategist, but the salary was better than some managers made. One interview. One decision. No second round. No time to charm anyone later. In my last life, I never got to sit in that room. This time, I sat there calmly with my resume folder on my knees and a blister forming where my heels had rubbed my skin raw. Death, I had learned, did wonders for interview nerves. Next, Emma Lane. I stood and followed an assistant into a small office. Only one person waited inside, a human resources director with silver glasses and a quiet, assessing gaze. I knew him from my previous life. He did not care about glamorous schools or family connections. He cared about whether a person could think. "Tell me what you can do," he said. I did not waste time. "My name is Emma Lane. I spent the last 5 years building launch plans for small consumer brands that needed big market thinking without big market budgets. I brought 6 case studies. 5 became profitable within the first quarter after launch. The 6th failed for reasons outside the campaign, and I can explain that too. I placed my charts on the table. Market gaps. Customer profiles. Conversion numbers. Retail placement notes. The speech was crisp because I had practiced it for days in my last life with Vanessa. That was how she had been able to steal it. This time, the words came from the woman who had done the work. The director flipped through my portfolio. And the failed product. The campaign worked, I said. The company collapsed because the owner was indicted for tax fraud on launch day. It is a hard lesson in brand risk. A good strategy cannot rescue a client from a federal raid. For the first time, he smiled. 20 minutes later, the assistant told me I had the job. Outside the building, Vanessa was waiting in the shade, scrolling through her phone as if she had not just stolen the most dangerous man in my life. You got it, she asked. I got it. Her smile twitched. That's amazing. You were always meant for big things. Unlike me, apparently. I had to play hero in the heat until my skin almost melted off. She expected me to envy her. Instead, I said, you were kind. People like kindness. Her eyes brightened at the word people. She turned her phone so I could see a video already spreading online. Someone had filmed the whole scene outside the building. Vanessa kneeling beside Adrian, me standing nearby and then walking away. The caption read, "Beautiful stranger saves a life while cold career girl chooses an interview." Comments were pouring in. What kind of person leaves a sick man on the sidewalk? The girl with the umbrella is an angel. That other woman has no soul. Vanessa watched my face, waiting for anger or embarrassment. I slipped off one heel and rubbed my aching foot. What are you doing? She asked. My feet hurt. Her disappointment was almost funny. At the subway station, she kept glancing over her shoulder. I knew what she was looking for. In our previous life, a mentally unstable man who saw that viral video had attacked her with a cabbage, calling himself an agent of justice. The absurdity of it would have been funny if it had not almost given her a concussion. When I saw him step off the train holding the cabbage like a weapon, I moved first. The moment he lifted his arm, my heel came down hard on his wrist. The cabbage rolled across the platform. He screamed. Transit staff grabbed him before he could try again. Vanessa stared at me, pale. You knew he was coming, she whispered. No, I said. I just don't like strange men rushing at me with vegetables. The first week at North Star was quiet. Quiet did not mean easy. I learned logins, client histories, filing systems, office politics, and the unspoken rule that nobody trusted a new hire until she survived her first impossible task. Vanessa, meanwhile, turned herself into a full-time online saint. She posted a gentle clarification about the sidewalk video. My best friend was only rushing to an interview. Please don't attack her. The young man is safe, and that is what matters. She wanted Adrian to see the post. He did. 6 days after I started at North Star, a red sports car rolled to the curb outside my office building. Vanessa sat in the passenger seat wearing new sunglasses and a smile so sweet it hurt to look at. The driver's window lowered. Adrian Sterling smiled at me with the same polished warmth that had once fooled me. You must be Emma, he said. Vanessa told me you're her best friend. My savior's friend is my friend too. Let us take you to dinner. My pulse went cold. There was nothing frightening in his voice. That was the frightening part. Adrian always sounded reasonable right before he rearranged someone's life. Thank you, I said. I already have plans. Vanessa tilted her head. Don't pressure her. Emma grew up counting every dollar. Sitting in a car like this probably makes her uncomfortable. The insult was wrapped in perfume. I smiled and crossed the street. 15 minutes later, the sky broke open. Rain came down so hard it bounced off the pavement. A cab splashed dirty water across my skirt and disappeared before I could shout. A black Rolls-Royce slowed beside me. The passenger window rolled down. Ryan Parker sat behind the wheel in a police uniform that looked far too serious for the lazy grin on his face. Need a rescue? I climbed in before pride could drown me. Ryan had been our class troublemaker in high school, the boy teachers warned us about and half the school secretly watched. Vanessa had once written his name all over her notebook. I had avoided him because I thought Vanessa liked him, and because he had given her a letter for me that I never received. He mentioned the letter again as he drove. 8 years, he said. I hand Vanessa one love letter for you, and you act like I committed a felony. I stared at him. She never gave it to me. His grin faded. That silence told me enough. Over dinner, I told Ryan I wanted to help him with a case involving Adrian Sterling. I did not tell him I had lived through the evidence. I told him enough: suspicious videos, business leaks, a past death nobody had investigated properly, and a rich heir who liked to turn gratitude into possession. Ryan listened without interrupting. Then Vanessa video called me. The screen filled with glittering chandeliers, sashimi, wine, and Vanessa's triumphant face. Emma, you should have come. Adrian bought the whole tasting menu. Look at this purse. Look at this room. I really did save a prince. When she noticed I was in a restaurant, her smile sharpened. A date. Please tell me he has hair. Before I could hang up, Ryan took the phone. Hi, Vanessa. Long time no see. Her face froze. When did you two get together? Ryan leaned back. Together is a big word. I would never chase the man my friend supposedly dated. We never dated, Vanessa and Ryan said at the same time. For once, Vanessa had nothing clever to say. The first impossible task arrived on a Tuesday morning. North Star's president called the strategy department into the conference room. A small factory owner from Ohio had produced an enormous batch of custom curtains for a hotel chain, only to discover the original measurements were wrong. The curtains were too short. Too many to toss, too specific to sell, too expensive to ignore. If we push them as discounted curtains, his brand dies, the president said. If we refuse him, we look heartless. If we fail publicly, North Star looks incompetent. Senior strategists avoided his eyes. Someone said, Emma has strong product turnaround experience. Of course they threw it to the new girl. The factory owner looked ready to fold in on himself. If it won't work, it won't work. I have been in textiles for 30 years. Maybe this is just where it ends. I stood. I can try. The president looked as if he wanted to fire me on principle. But he could not tell a desperate client no after I had said yes. In my previous life, Vanessa had told me this story after work. I had spent an evening thinking about it because my brain did not like waste. Fabric did not stop being valuable because it failed its first purpose. This time, I turned the failed curtains into radiator covers, draft blockers, acoustic wall panels, and decorative winter window layers for older apartment buildings in northern states. The fabric was heavy, well patterned, and already cut in lengths that could be adapted. We built the campaign around warmth, old buildings, and practical beauty. The result caught fire online. The factory owner did not shut down. He received new orders. North Star received praise for turning a disaster into a product category. And I received a promotion. That afternoon, Adrian Sterling walked into the president's office with Vanessa behind him. Uncle, he said, this is my friend. She's looking for work. Vanessa's eyes shone when she heard there was a manager opening. The president studied her. What results can you show me? Her smile faltered. I'm eager to learn. Then you can learn under Emma. The room went quiet. I became department manager. Vanessa became the new hire I was expected to train. She looked at me as if I had slapped her. I had done nothing except show up for my own life. At her desk, I explained daily workflows, file structures, project trackers, client expectations, and approval rules. She barely listened. Her eyes kept moving over the office, calculating who mattered. Then our vice president placed a new file in my hands. Bloom Harbor Entertainment, he said. Theme park redevelopment. Every agency in the city wants it. They like us, but we need something clean and complete. Vanessa's face changed. So that was why she had wanted into North Star. Emma, she said softly, let me help with that one. I came in through Adrian, and people already look down on me. I need one big project to prove myself. The team exchanged looks. Nobody wanted the pressure, so they let her have it. I nodded. Fine. You can lead the first draft. She thought I was handing her my future. I was handing her a test. For 1 month, Vanessa performed ambition-like theatre. She stayed late where people could see her. She carried binders through hallways. She asked questions in meetings and posted luxury gifts online after midnight. Adrian waited outside our office building almost every evening, sometimes with flowers, sometimes with jewelry, sometimes with the quiet patience of a man choosing curtains for a room he already believed he owned.
Coworkers sighed over him.
He lost his first girlfriend years ago, one woman said after karaoke one Friday night. Never publicly dated anyone since. If he's giving Vanessa cars and house keys, she must be special. Vanessa drank that sentence like champagne. Outside the karaoke bar, Ryan leaned against his car under a street lamp. Vanessa's eyes flashed. She had not seen him in years. For a second, the rich air beside her did not exist. Are you here for Emma? She asked. Actually, Ryan said, I came to ask why you kept the letter I wrote her in high school. Our co-workers gasped with delight. Vanessa's face went stiff. Then Adrian appeared with a bouquet of roses and rescued her from the moment. Cold out here, he said, placing his coat around her shoulders. Let's go home. Home. The word made my stomach turn. In my previous life, he had said it like a promise. Then like an order. Then like a sentence. The next morning, Vanessa came to work in long sleeves despite the heat. A bruise shadowed her wrist. Stairs, she said when someone asked. I knew that lie. I had used it too. Later, her computer crashed. The Bloom Harbor files were gone. She burst into tears. The president slammed a hand on the table. You were responsible for backups. We present in 2 days. Vanessa cried harder. I remember parts of it. I can rebuild tonight. Rest, I said before anyone else could speak. You are injured. I can prepare a simplified version. She hugged me in front of the office, whispering gratitude into my hair. That afternoon, she left early. I followed. She went to a tattoo removal studio and had Ryan's old name burned off her skin. When she came out, her arm was swollen and her face was pale. Is he worth it? I asked. Her eyes hardened. What do you want me to say? That Adrian hurts me. That he controls me. That I am scared. Would that make you feel superior? Vanessa. He is handsome, rich, gentle, and devoted. So he gets intense. So what? People sell pieces of themselves for much less. I get cars, a mansion, status, and a family that finally has to respect me. Don't stand there pretending you know everything. I had warned her. She had heard envy. So I stopped talking. That evening, I went to the precinct and gave Ryan everything I had. 2 days later, the Bloom Harbor presentation filled a hotel conference room with expensive suits and false confidence. Adrian's family company was there too. He stood at the front with Vanessa's stolen plan and spoke like a man who had never doubted the world belonged to him. My president sat stiffly, holding the weak emergency deck our team had put together overnight. He looked ashamed before he even began. Then the doors opened. Ryan walked in wearing his badge. I walked beside him carrying a black document envelope. Every head turned. Sorry we are late, I said, placing the envelope in front of my president. This is North Star's actual proposal. Inside were architectural mock-ups, seasonal event calendars, vendor maps, ad copy, guest flow diagrams, partnership tiers, and construction notes. Not the rough folder Vanessa had stolen from the shared drive. Not the bait files she had destroyed. The real proposal, built on my private laptop, time-stamped, backed up, and ready. Bloom Harbor's director read in silence for 10 minutes. Then she looked up. This is the first plan today that understands both operations and emotion. We want North Star. Adrian's smile disappeared. Vanessa looked at me as if the floor had dropped under her. After the room cleared, Ryan blocked Adrian at the door. Before you leave, we need to talk about two things. First, the original metadata on the proposal your company presented. Second, surveillance from a private room showing who received that file. Vanessa gripped her purse. Adrian did not look at her. He looked at me. There it was again. That soft, injured expression. As if my refusal had wounded him. As if every woman's boundary was a betrayal. Emma, he said quietly, you misunderstand me. Ryan stepped between us. She understands you better than you think. The police did not arrest him publicly that day. Wealth protected him from immediate humiliation, the way wealth always tries to do. His father apologized to my president. His uncle chose not to press a family scandal too far, but North Star quietly made sure Adrian's company lost reputation, trust, and several clients. Vanessa was fired. Adrian bailed her out after questioning. Ryan frowned when he heard. Maybe he really loves her. I looked at the rain gathering on the conference windows. No, I said. He thinks she belongs to him now. For a month, I heard nothing from Vanessa. My salary doubled because North Star had one Bloom Harbor. My office moved from a shared corner to a room with a door. The first time I closed it, I sat in the quiet and cried for 5 minutes. Not from sadness. From the shock of being safe enough to feel tired. Ryan kept finding reasons to appear near my building. Coffee. Case updates. A ride in the rain. A sandwich he claimed he had bought by mistake. He was less smooth than he thought, which made him far more dangerous. One night, I took him to dinner because he complained that protecting my future should come with hazard pay. Halfway through dessert, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then I answered. Vanessa's voice came through in a whisper. Emma, please save me. Nobody else can. My hand tightened around the phone. Where are you? I tried to break up with Adrian. He said we should have one last dinner. I heard him on the phone. He is sending me out of the country tonight. Emma, I think he killed his first girlfriend. I think he is going to kill me too. A sharp slap cracked through the line. Then Adrian's voice, shaking with rage and grief. Why do you all leave me? Why do you make me love you and then betray me? The call ended. Ryan was already standing. He called the precinct, requested location tracing, flight checks, road alerts, and a warrant push connected to prior suspicious activity. Then he looked at me. Do you know where he would take her? I did. In my previous life, after Adrian arranged an attack to make me dependent on him, he brought me to his family house. Beneath the polished floors and antique rugs was a locked room. I had found it by accident during one of my worst nights. Inside were photographs. Mine. A young woman's. Others, maybe. I had not stayed long enough to understand everything before he dragged me out and taught me what happened when I wanted to leave. He has a basement suite under the old Sterling house in Westchester, I said. Hidden door behind the wine cellar. Ryan did not ask how I knew. We got there in time. Vanessa survived. The girl who had once held me on a rooftop and demanded my life as payment for her envy was carried out trembling, alive, and ruined in ways no apology could fix. Adrian was arrested before dawn. Under questioning, he broke. The perfect air vanished. The gentleman mask cracked. He confessed to staging the attack on his first girlfriend years ago, then punishing everyone involved so he could look like the grieving lover. He confessed to arranging threats against women who tried to leave. He confessed because men like him always need someone to understand their pain, even when their pain is poison. I saved them, he said through his teeth. I loved them. Why did they leave? Ryan's answer was cold. Because love is not a prison. I visited Vanessa in the hospital because some part of me still remembered the girl who used to split cafeteria bread with me. She looked smaller without the makeup, jewelry, and borrowed arrogance. Her face was pale. Her wrist was bandaged. When she saw Ryan step in behind me, Her eyes moved between us and filled with something old and bitter. Can I talk to Emma alone? Ryan did not want to leave. I'll be outside, he said finally. Call me if you need me. When the door closed, Vanessa grabbed my sleeve. You knew, she said. You knew what he was. How did you know where to find me? I looked at her hand on my arm. You think I hurt you because I did not stop you. You let me take him. You asked for him. Her eyes reddened. If you knew he was dangerous, why didn't you tell me? I did. You told me I was jealous. You told me I could not stand watching you win. You said every bruise was worth the car keys. She flinched. All I wanted was a better life, she whispered. Was that wrong? Wanting a better life was never wrong. Stealing mine was. Blaming me for your choices was. Killing me because you could not bear my happiness was. The room went still. She understood then. Maybe she had understood all along. I told her what I had never said properly. In high school, I had loved her like family. When she was hungry, I shared my food. When she wanted to learn piano, I saved birthday money to buy her a keyboard. When she liked a gentle class president, I encouraged her to study and meet him at the top. When I said Ryan was kind under all his troublemaker noise, she turned toward him too. She had not wanted the things themselves. She had wanted proof that anything I loved could be hers first. You made me your enemy, I said. I kept trying to be your friend. Tears ran down her face. It wasn't supposed to be like this. It became exactly what you chose. When I left the hospital, noon sunlight covered the sidewalk. The city looked newly washed, hard and bright and alive. Ryan waited by the doors with 2 coffees. You okay? I died once, I said. I came back. I meant it as a warning. A truth. A thing no normal person would believe. Ryan was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. I believe you. I stared at him. You believe everything too easily. No, he said. Just you. There was a small flower shop near the hospital with a faded awning and buckets of roses lined outside like witnesses. Weeks earlier, I had joked that Ryan could repay me for helping his case by buying me that shop. It had been for sale then. I had thought he understood I was half teasing. He had not. About the flower shop, he said, suddenly looking younger than the badge on his belt. I made an offer. I stopped walking. Ryan. Before you lecture me, it is a practical investment. Good location. Stable foot traffic. Terrible branding, but we know a strategist. You bought a flower shop because I joked about it. I bought a flower shop because 8 years ago I wrote you a letter and handed it to the wrong messenger. Then life wasted enough time without my permission. The answer should have sounded ridiculous. Instead, it felt like a door opening. In my previous life, I had mistaken grand gestures for love because Adrian's gifts were loud enough to drown out my fear. This was different. Ryan did not try to purchase my gratitude. He did not tell me where to stand, what to wear, who to answer, or how to smile. He simply offered a future and left the handle on my side. You know I am not quitting North Star to sell flowers tomorrow, I said. Good. I like powerful women with office doors. And I am not marrying you because you bought real estate. Also good. My parents would prefer you marry me because of my personality. I laughed before I could stop myself. He looked so pleased that I rolled my eyes and started walking faster. Emma, he called after me. Was that a yes? It was a maybe. A maybe is legally promising. You are a police officer. Stop making up laws. He caught up and walked beside me, not too close, not too far. For the first time since my rebirth, I did not feel like I was running from the past. I felt like I was walking out of it. Vanessa had believed one choice made the difference between heaven and hell. She had been wrong. The choice that mattered was not whether I saved a rich man on a sidewalk. It was whether I kept abandoning myself to rescue people who hated me for surviving. This time, I chose the interview. I chose my work. I chose evidence over panic, boundaries over guilt, and a man who believed me without needing proof he could use against me. And when the afternoon sun hit the glass towers ahead, I realized the life Vanessa had wanted to steal had never been the mansion, the car, or the air. It was this. My own name on my own door. My own feet moving forward. My own future, finally unlocked. The internet did what the internet always did. It chose a villain before it chose the truth. For the first 2 days after Adrian's arrest, my old sidewalk video came back to life. People stitched it beside clips of Vanessa leaving the hospital. Some called me heartless again. Some said I had set up my best friend to be harmed by a rich man. Some insisted no normal woman could walk away from a fainting stranger unless she knew something terrible would happen. That last group was closer than they realized. North Star's public relations team offered to bury the story under a clean corporate statement. My president said I had earned protection from the company, and for once, I believed a boss when he said protection. But I refused to hide behind a legal paragraph that sounded like it had been written by 3 frightened attorneys and a blender. I wrote one post under my own name. I did not mention rebirth. I did not mention the basement. I did not mention the nights when I used to sleep with my phone under my pillow because Adrian wanted me to answer within 3 rings. I simply wrote that the person who calls emergency services is not the only person responsible for saving a life, that strangers on the internet rarely know what happened before or after a 10-second clip, and that kindness performed for a camera is not always kindness. Then I attached the emergency call record. In the video, I had walked away after Vanessa knelt beside Adrian. What viewers could not see was that I had already called 911 before I moved toward the building. The timestamp was clear. The dispatcher notes were clear. My voice, shaky but precise, had given the location, symptoms, and description. The comments shifted overnight. Some apologized. Most deleted their worst words and pretended they had always been thoughtful. A few doubled down because cruelty, once posted, hates being asked to pack its bags. I closed the app and returned to work. North Star did not slow down for anyone's scandal. Bloom Harbor wanted revisions. The Ohio textile client wanted a second campaign. My team, which had once treated me like a temporary inconvenience, now watched me like I had become both manager and myth. I hated the myth part. At our Monday meeting, I placed 3 folders on the table. No one here is getting punished for Vanessa's choices, I said. But from now on, every project has a backup owner, every draft gets cloud storage and local storage, and no one takes client files off system without written approval. That protects the company, and it protects you. One of the older strategists cleared his throat. We should have done that before. Yes, I said. Now we are doing it. The room settled. Not warm, not friendly, but steady. That was enough. I had learned to prefer steadiness over sweetness. Sweetness could hide teeth. After the meeting, my president called me into his office. I expected another urgent file. Instead, he handed me a slim envelope. Retention bonus, he said. And an apology. For what? For almost letting my nephew's nonsense cost me the best strategist in this building. I looked at the envelope. In my last life, a man had given me keys I had not asked for, and every gift had carried a chain. This envelope carried no chain. It was earned money for earned work. I accepted it. Thank you, I said. He smiled. Do not thank me too much. I am still going to overwork you. That, I believe. Ryan did not push me to talk about the previous life, which made me want to talk more. That was the annoying thing about safety. When someone stopped prying at a wound, the wound sometimes opened on its own. One evening, after the first round of case filings, he drove me to the old Sterling house so I could confirm the layout for investigators. The estate sat behind iron gates and ancient trees, all quiet wealth and manicured distance. Police tape crossed the wine cellar door. Technicians moved in and out with sealed boxes. I stood at the top of the stairs and tasted fear so sharp it felt metallic. Ryan noticed. You can wait outside. No, Emma. I said no. He nodded once and stopped arguing. The hidden basement looked smaller with the lights on. That almost made me angrier. In memory, it had been endless, a private underworld built to swallow women. Now it was a room with reinforced walls, expensive soundproofing, a storage cabinet, a narrow bed, and a camera mounted in the corner. Evidence markers dotted the floor. I gripped the railing so hard my palm hurt. Ryan stood beside me without touching me. "I want to burn it down," I said. "Legally, we should not." That was not a request for professional advice. Then personally, I would bring marshmallows. I laughed once, too sharply, and then I cried. He still did not touch me until I turned toward him. Only then did he open his arms. It was such a small piece of respect. In my previous life, Adrian had treated my body as a room he owned. Ryan waited for a door. That was when I finally told him the parts one had avoided. I told him about the staged attack outside my apartment, how Adrian had arranged the fear and then arrived as the savior. I told him about waking in his house with injuries and shame he carefully shaped into dependency. I told him about the first time I tried to leave and the way he apologized afterward, sobbing into my hair as if his violence had hurt him more than me. Ryan's face changed, but his voice stayed gentle. "Did he ever make you think it was your fault?" "Every day." "It was not." "I know that now." "Good. I will say it anyway." For a while, that was all we did. He said it was not my fault. I breathed until I believed him a little more. When we left the estate, dawn was stretching pale blue over the trees. The world had the nerve to look beautiful. I decided to let it. Vanessa's hospital room became quieter after the headlines moved on. The friends who had once filled her comments with crown emojis disappeared first. Her stepmother came once, took photographs of the flowers, and left after asking whether Adrian's family would pay a settlement. Her younger brother posted a vague message online about family trauma and then used the attention to promote his livestream. I did not feel satisfaction when I heard. I felt tired. Maybe that was growth. Maybe it was just exhaustion wearing better clothes. Vanessa called me 2 weeks after our confrontation. I stared at her name until the screen went dark. Then I called back, because unanswered calls had haunted me since the rooftop. "I am not asking you to forgive me," she said. "Good." Silence. "I keep thinking about the keyboard," she whispered. "The one you bought me. I did sell it. My stepmother said if I wanted to act like a rich girl, I could pay the electric bill myself. I sold it and told you she broke it because I wanted you to feel sorry for me, not disappointed." I sat on my bedroom floor, back against the bed. I was disappointed anyway. "I know." Her breathing hitched. "When you got praise, it felt like proof I was nothing. When Ryan liked you, it felt like even my feelings belonged to you first. When Adrian chose you in the last life, I thought the universe had given you the only door out. Adrian was not a door. I know now." I looked at the city outside my window. Somewhere below, a siren passed and faded. "Vanessa, I cannot be the person you confess to for the rest of your life." "I know. I hope you get help. Real help. But I am done being the place where you put your pain." She cried quietly. This time, I did not rescue her from the silence. After we hung up, I blocked her number. My hand shook afterward. Not because I regretted it. Because some habits die like old vines, clinging even after they are cut. Ryan came over with takeout and found me sitting in the hallway, still holding my phone. Bad call. Necessary call. He sat beside me and opened the food containers on the floor as if hallway dinner was a normal adult choice. "Dumplings for necessary calls," he said. "A tradition beginning now." I took a dumpling. It was too hot and burned my tongue. I ate it anyway. The Bloom Harbor campaign became the kind of success that made people rewrite history. Co-workers who had once avoided the project now said they had always believed in my direction. Executives who had barely known my name invited me to planning lunches. A trade magazine requested an interview about adaptive strategy, and the photographer asked me to stand in front of the office windows with my arms crossed. "More powerful," he said. I lowered my arms. "I am powerful sitting down too." The final photo showed me at my desk, sleeves rolled up, pen in hand, laughing at something off camera. It was the first picture of myself I had liked in years. Not beautiful in the way Adrian had demanded. Not polished in the way Vanessa had envied. Alive. The interview asked about my philosophy. I said waste is often a failure of imagination. A ruined curtain can become a radiator cover. A stolen draft can become bait. A public insult can become proof. A life that ended once can still have another use if you are stubborn enough to pick it up. My president read the article and circled that last sentence. Dramatic, he said. Accurate. Clients will love it. That was not why I said it. Clients will still love it. He was right, unfortunately. Work multiplied. I learned to delegate before success turned into another cage. I promoted the quiet analyst who always caught pricing errors. I moved a young designer off a hostile account and onto Bloom Harbor, where her maps became the campaign's signature visual. I stopped trying to prove I deserved the room by carrying every chair in it. That was another thing Rebirth taught me. Survival was not the same as martyrdom. One Friday, Ryan arrived at the office with paint samples. For the flower shop, he said. You brought paint samples to my workplace. You said terrible branding. I respect expert feedback. I flipped through them. Most were awful. This green looks like hospital pudding. That was my favorite. That explains a lot about your taste. I like you. As I said. He laughed so loudly that 2 interns looked over. I picked a soft white, a deep green, and a warm coral for the shop sign. Then I wrote a launch checklist on the back of a media schedule because apparently I could not stop being a strategist even for my own almost romance. Ryan watched me with a face that made my pen slow down. What? Nothing, he said. I just like seeing you plan things you actually want. I pretended to be busy until my cheeks cooled. Adrian's trial did not give me the satisfaction stories promise. There was no single thunderclap moment where everyone saw him clearly and evil evaporated. There were motions, delays, sealed documents, wealthy relatives, reporters, expert testimony, and days when my stomach hurt from listening to lawyers turn pain into timelines. But the truth held. The basement existed. The files existed. The original case around his first girlfriend was reopened. Evidence that had once been dismissed as grief-stricken confusion became pattern, motive, and confession. Vanessa testified behind a screen. I testified in person. Adrian watched me from the defense table. This time, I did not look away. His attorney asked why I had not gone to police earlier if I claimed to know so much. I answered carefully. Because in the life where I learned it, I did not survive long enough. The courtroom went still. The attorney frowned. Ms. Lane, are you speaking metaphorically? I looked at the judge, then at the jury, then at Ryan seated behind the prosecutor with his hands clenched in his lap. I'm speaking about trauma, I said. There are things a person only understands after the version of her who trusted too much is gone. That was true enough for court. Afterward, outside the building, Vanessa stood near the steps with a scarf over her hair and sunglasses hiding half her face. For a second I thought she wanted to speak. Then she simply bowed her head. I returned the smallest nod. It was not forgiveness. It was an ending. Ryan walked me to the car. You did well. I hated every second. Both can be true. You are getting annoyingly wise. That is what happens when you spend time with a strategist. I leaned my head against the window as he drove. The city slid by in strips of glass and stone. Once, those towers had meant hierarchy to me. People above, people below. Vanessa had died believing that if she could pull me down, the distance would disappear. But healing was not a ladder. It was a room with the lights turned on. The flower shop opened in October. Ryan named it Second Bloom without asking me, then tried to pretend the sign had come that way. I hated how much I liked it. We did not make it a grand romantic reveal. There were no cameras, no violinist, no speech designed to trap me into gratitude. Just fresh paint, buckets of flowers, a stubborn old register, and Ryan's parents pretending not to cry when I arranged the first window display. His mother hugged me too long. We always hoped you would come back around, she said. I was not aware there was an around. Ryan was. He was impossible about you. Ryan coughed behind a stack of vases. Mom. His father patted his shoulder. Son, let the woman have evidence. I laughed until my ribs hurt. For the opening, I designed 3 arrangements. Sunflowers for survival, white roses for peace, and coral peonies for the kind of love that did not demand performance. North Star sent a huge order for the office lobby. The Ohio textile client sent handmade ribbon from leftover fabric. Bloom Harbor sent a card that read, "For every second chance." At closing time, Ryan locked the door and turned the sign. So, he said, suddenly shy again. Do you like it? I looked around the little shop, at the flowers breathing color into every corner, at the man who had believed an impossible truth because it came from me, at the street beyond the glass where ordinary people hurried home under ordinary lights. Yes, I said. I like it. Enough to maybe have dinner with the owner. I thought I was the branding consultant. Dinner with the branding consultant sounds less romantic. You need better copy. That is why I keep you around. I stepped closer and straightened his collar, mostly because it was crooked, partly because I wanted to touch him first. Ryan. Yes. Ask again. He understood. He always did when it mattered. Emmeline, will you have dinner with me because I like you, because you are free to say no, and because I will still drive you home safely either way? My eyes stung. That was how a door sounded when it opened from the inside. Yes, I said. Sometimes people ask whether I regret walking away from Adrian on that first day. They do not know they are asking whether I regret saving myself. The answer is no. I do not regret the interview. I do not regret letting Vanessa kneel under the hot sun and claim the miracle she thought belonged to me. I do not regret building a career from work she once stole. I do not regret giving evidence to the police, testifying in court, blocking her number, or choosing a life that no longer made guilt the price of being loved. I regret only how long I mistook endurance for goodness. Good women are taught to stay. Stay with the friend who wounds you because she was wounded first. Stay with the man who apologizes beautifully because his tears look like proof. Stay in the job where people underestimate you because leaving would look ungrateful. Stay quiet when strangers judge you because explaining yourself feels beneath dignity. Rebirth did not make me cruel. It made me honest. If a person steals your seat, stand up and build your own table. If a friend turns your kindness into competition, stop entering the race. If a prince collapses on the sidewalk and every instinct screams that saving him will cost your soul, call the ambulance and keep walking toward your interview. That last part is important. I did call for help. I simply did not sacrifice myself as payment for it. Months later, my name was printed on the glass door of my office, Emma Lane, Strategy Director. Below it, in smaller letters, someone from my team had taped a note that said, "Back up your files or face her wrath." I left it there. At lunch, Ryan texted me a photo from Second Bloom. He had arranged a display all by himself. Crooked sunflowers, too many roses, and a sign that read flowers for women who save themselves. It was terrible merchandising. It made me smile anyway. Outside my window, New York burned gold in the afternoon light. Somewhere in the city, Vanessa was beginning whatever life waited after envy. Somewhere behind bars, Adrian finally lived in a locked room he did not control. Somewhere inside me, the woman who had fallen from the rooftop was no longer falling. I picked up my pen. A new client brief waited on my desk. This life was not perfect. It was busy, demanding, occasionally lonely, often inconvenient, and entirely mine. That was more than luck. That was freedom. The first time I returned to the sidewalk where everything had restarted, I went alone. It was winter by then. The city had traded heat shimmer for grey breath and salted pavement. The glass tower still stood above the avenue, polished and indifferent. People hurried past with coffee cups and wool coats, stepping over the exact patch of concrete where Adrian had once collapsed and Vanessa had once chosen my nightmare with both hands. There was no marker there. No scar on the city. Nothing to tell anyone that 2 lives had split open in that place. I stood near the curb for a long time. In stories, people like to believe the universe gives signs. A sudden bird, a falling leaf, a stranger's meaningful smile. I got a delivery truck honking at a cyclist and a man arguing with his wireless earbuds. Somehow, that felt better. The universe did not need to perform for me. I was alive without a spotlight. I bought a bottle of water from the same corner store. The owner did not recognize me. Why would he? To him, I was one more office worker with tired eyes and exact change. To me, his store had once been the place where I lost a job, then later the place where I understood how easily a person could confuse sacrifice with destiny. I opened the bottle and poured a little onto the tree pit near the curb. It was not a ritual I had planned. It simply happened. A small offering for the woman I used to be. The one who had run for water, called for help, trusted a friend, trusted a savior, and paid for all that trust with her life. You did your best, I whispered. The words embarrassed me, but they also loosened something in my chest. Then my phone buzzed. Ryan, are you eating lunch or strategically avoiding lunch? Me, those can be the same thing. Ryan, incorrect. I am outside your office with soup. Me, I am not there. Ryan, then I am outside your office with emotional soup. I laughed on the sidewalk where I had once chosen differently. Maybe healing was not grand. Maybe it was being able to laugh in a place that used to own your fear. I walked back toward North Star with the unopened water in my bag. Vanessa wrote me one letter after she left the hospital. It arrived at North Star in a plain envelope with no return address. For a moment I considered throwing it away unread. Then I remembered that ignoring something was not the same as fearing it, and I opened it during my lunch break with my office door closed. Her handwriting was smaller than I remembered. She said therapy was hard. She said admitting envy was harder than admitting pain because pain made her feel like a victim, while envy made her feel ugly. She said she had spent years believing that if she could be chosen first, loved first, hired first, rescued first, then the hollow place inside her would finally quiet down. It never had. She apologized for the rooftop. Not dramatically. Not in the way people apologize when they secretly want comfort. She wrote the sentence plainly. I killed you because I hated that you survived better than I did, and there is no excuse for that. I read that line 3 times. Then I folded the letter. I did not cry. I did not forgive her. I did not call. But I placed the letter in a folder instead of the trash, because evidence mattered, and so did truth. Sometimes truth arrived too late to repair anything. That did not make it worthless. Weeks later, a mutual acquaintance told me Vanessa had moved to Portland to live with an aunt, work part-time at a clinic, and attend counseling. She no longer posted luxury bags. She no longer posted cryptic quotes about betrayal. Her accounts were mostly quiet. Good, I thought. Quiet was underrated. People expected me to want her destroyed. I understood why. A part of me had wanted that too, especially in the first raw months when every dream ended with wind and falling. But revenge, once completed, has a short shelf life. It burns hot, then leaves you standing in ash with the rest of your life still waiting. I did not need Vanessa miserable. I needed Vanessa gone from the center of my story. That was what I finally had. On the anniversary of my rebirth, North Star won an industry award for the Bloom Harbor campaign. The ceremony took place in a hotel ballroom full of candlelight, black dresses, tailored suits, and people pretending not to check whether anyone more important had entered the room. I wore a deep green gown because Ryan had once said the color made me look like a person who knew secrets and charged consulting fees for them. He came as my guest. I feel underdressed, he said, looking around at the executives. He was not. He wore a dark suit, no tie, and the expression of a man prepared to arrest the entire room if necessary. You look fine. Fine. Do not fish for compliments at a work event. I bought a flower shop for you. You bought a flower shop for yourself and then asked me to fix the sign. Our origin story is being edited unfairly. When my name was called, the applause sounded distant. I walked to the stage and accepted the award with my team behind me. Not alone. That mattered. In my previous life, Adrian had isolated me under the excuse of protection. In this life, success had witnesses who were not jailers. The host asked for a few words. I looked out at the ballroom. This campaign began with a failed product, I said. A warehouse full of material people thought had lost its purpose. Our team succeeded because we stopped asking what it was supposed to be and started asking what it could become. I paused. That is good strategy. It is also good life advice. People laughed softly. Ryan did not. He watched me as if he understood every word I was not saying. After the ceremony, he found me on the balcony. Good speech. It was under 90 seconds. My greatest achievement. I liked the part where you told a room full of executives to rethink their lives. That was a free bonus. He leaned beside me on the railing. Below us, the avenue glittered with traffic. A year ago, height had meant terror. Tonight, it was only a view. Ryan took a small velvet box from his pocket. My breath stopped. He saw my face and immediately opened both hands. Not a proposal. I swear. Breathe. Inside was a key. Second Bloom's back office, he said. You keep using the cafe down the street when you need quiet on weekends. The shop has a desk now. Yours, if you want it. No obligation. No symbolism unless you approve the symbolism. I stared at the key. Adrian had given me keys once too. Keys to a house that was never mine. Keys that opened doors he could lock again. Ryan's key lay in his palm, waiting. I took it. Approved, I said. If you are waiting for the part where every wound vanishes, I cannot give you that. Some mornings, I still wake before my alarm with my heart racing. Some elevators make my knees weak if they rise too fast. Sometimes a luxury car slows near the curb and my body remembers before my mind does. Healing did not turn me into someone untouched. It turned me into someone who could be touched by memory and still keep living. That is enough. My life became ordinary in the most precious ways. I argued with designers about fonts. I forgot laundry in the dryer. I learned that owning part of a flower shop meant knowing far too much about refrigeration. Ryan discovered he was allergic to one type of lily and insisted this made him a tragic romantic figure. His mother taught me a soup recipe and corrected me with the seriousness of a national security briefing. North Star kept growing. So did I. There were offers from other firms, bigger salaries, brighter titles. I considered them carefully, not from desperation, but from choice. That was new too. In my old life, every decision had been shaped by fear of losing what little safety I had. In this life, I could ask what I wanted without feeling selfish for having an answer. One evening, months after the award, a young intern stood in my doorway with red eyes. "Do you have a minute?" she asked. I had a deadline. 3 calls. A deck due by morning. I also had a memory of being young and ashamed to need help. "Come in," I said. She told me a senior employee had been taking credit for her work. She had proof but was scared of being labeled difficult. I listened. I helped her organize the evidence. I went with her to human resources. Later, she thanked me like I had saved her. I shook my head. "You saved yourself by keeping proof. I just walked with you." That night, I locked my office and looked at my name on the glass. Once, Vanessa thought standing above someone meant stealing their light. She never understood that light is not a ladder. You can turn yours on without turning mine off. I walked outside into the cool evening. Ryan waited by the curb with flowers from our own shop, badly arranged and proudly presented. "For the strategy director," he said. "These colors clash." "For the woman I love, then." I took the bouquet. "Still clashes." He grinned. "But you are keeping it." I was. The city moved around us, bright and noisy and alive. No rooftop. No locked room. No stolen interview. No friend waiting to pull me down. Just my hand around the stems, my name on the door behind me, and the future ahead, wide open. This time, when someone tried to hand me a nightmare and call it luck, I knew better.
I letterhed.
And I kept my life.